Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Tuplex. As you can see here, I've made a few changes. I've beautified my engineering station here with some hazard concrete and some more stone walkway. I have constructed an artillery wagon, which I added to the train so that we can take that with us. I do have these two turrets, that we can place manually as well, but I thought it would be cool to have the train. And then I've added a car here, which we can use to store ammunition for that train car. I can tell you with all four of those train wagons, my train does run rather slow on coal fuel, so at some point soon it'll be a good idea for us to upgrade our train fuel to solid fuel and eventually to rocket fuel so that we get better speed, but for now this is okay. In the meantime, I've been doing mining productivity research. We're up to level 13 now. We can get up to 15 before we need space science, and that's what I intend to do. Now, well, before I get into the other stuff I want to do, a couple more changes that I've made to the base in between episodes. This iron patch that was down here is completely mined out, so I've removed all the mining drills and the belts and everything, so there's no trace of that anymore. And then I added that last unit of red circuit production that I wanted to get in there. So we're at, I would say, full capacity on red circuits. We've got 1, 2, 3 units down here, and 1, 2, oh, I guess I need to add one more. We need a third unit down there. I thought I was done, but I guess I'm not. So let's go do that. And that will be a simple matter of just getting our bots set to do it. Take the car over there. So as you can see, that cleaned things up down here fairly significantly. And I did put some turrets here just in case we get an attack. Alright, so let me just copy one unit. There we go. And I'll place that there. We'll need to add a few more belts manually. I think that's all within Roboport range. Yeah, it is. So our construction bots will finish taking care of that for us. I have gotten to the full upgrades on the bots that we can do without space science. So you can see that those guys are moving along pretty quickly. Looks like we have an attack over here, and I don't think I have any turrets up there, so we're going to have to head over there and clean that up before they do too much damage. Okay. I did add more mining drills to copper because we were running low. There we go. Okay, so let's put a couple turrets up here. Looks like I'm running low on ammo. Go 50 each should be good. Power, we're still doing okay. The other change that I've made is on the unloading of the iron ore. Since I need 5 belts, I need 4 for the iron smelting, and I need 1 belt for the steel. I put in this 8 to 5 balancer. which is pretty crazy looking, but seems to be working well. So now I have 4 iron belts running up to the iron smelting, and then I have 1 iron belt running down to the steel. And that also feeds the concrete. And then our original starting patch still has 235,000 ore left, so we'll leave that there until it's empty. And right now I just have this feeding into the steel. There's not a whole lot there, but it's enough to keep the steel supplemented a little bit. Now you can see that coal is starting to run out. The reason for that is I would like to add a stacker to our main base, but unfortunately I didn't leave myself much room down here. So you may remember that before I had some empty space here. So what I've decided to do is, iron and copper are still in the same place, but I moved stone and coal up here. Right, so this will be for stone, and then coal I have moved already. I'm not doing anything with it yet because I wanted this to empty out first. This is where coal was previously, and this is where stone was previously. So I moved both of those up there, and then I want to move acid and oil up here. I'm going to keep my engineering stop in the same place. But once I get these 2 moved up, then I'll have a lot more room to place a stacker. I'll basically put the stacker where this stuff is, and that'll help keep our base organized and manage the trains better. And that's mainly because I have 2 trains for iron now, and the second train always ends up just waiting here behind the station, which is not what we want to do. Okay, so coal, the original coal station is now empty, so I'm going to go ahead and remove all of that. And we can remove these belts as well. As you can see, the bots are moving quite a bit quicker than they have in the past, which is great. All right, let's see, that was for ore, I believe. Actually, I'm going to leave one of these belts here because I still need to bring coal down here for plastic. I used to have coal for plastic running over here, but I decided to move it down to here instead. All right, so we'll just reverse these belts. Actually, I don't need to go quite that far. Okay, and then we can remove that one. And then we just need to bring this over. And then we'll continue to feed our trains with this as well. So going north, we'll take this one, and then for the train stations to the south, we'll just have to reverse these belts. So that the coal flows in the opposite direction. And then I think it's gonna stop here, because this is where we'll have our acid and oil unloading. So we won't need to run the coal any further down. Okay. And now we just need to get the coal routed back over to these belts here. Let's see. Right about there, I think, is where we had it. Looks like I dropped some belts on the ground there. There we go. And then plastic will split off here, and then we'll rebalance right there. And then the rest of that stays the way that it was before. Okay. So coal is taken care of. Now moving these other two is a little bit more tricky, but basically what we can do is we can just duplicate these stations up there and let the trains start to go to the new stations, and then as soon as these have emptied out, then we can change the hookups just like we did with coal. All right, so what I'll do is I'll copy, we'll start by copying the oil station, except for the output. The output is going to have to change a little bit. And I won't copy this coal line. Okay, so we can put oil right here. And for that, I just need 2 storage tanks. Let me grab some steel so we can finish that up. And it looks like... Oh, okay. Yeah, my coal for smelting was starting to run low as well, but it looks like that's starting to catch up now. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll just copy paste the name of the station. So that one is now called main oil. And I'm just going to remove this station so that the oil train doesn't come here anymore. And then, like I said, as soon as these tanks are emptied out, then we'll start running this one instead. And then in this case, we can put our output pump right here. And we can join it to the main line like that. Okay, so that's easy enough. Now let's copy our acid station. Yeah, I'll get rid of the belt for the coal. I think everything else we can leave as is. And that goes there. And we're just missing a couple of chests. Okay, the rest of that looks fine. So we'll rename it. Remove that station. And then we can pick this up because there's nothing here now anyway. And then we'll just have to reroute that line of acid that feeds in there. Okay, we'll need to move that a little bit closer. And I'll just run this line parallel to the oil. Or maybe I won't. Oh yeah, we can do this. There. And actually, it seems that it's no longer necessary to go down so far. So actually, why don't we bring the acid in here. Seems like I've got room to do that. just remove all of this pipe here. Okay, and then we can remove this belt of coal. We can get rid of all of that. We can get rid of, well, I need the power here to continue running this pump. Yeah, see, this is why we need the stacker. All right, so here comes the oil train. Oh, again, so these tanks are almost full. Actually, why don't we turn this off? I'm just going to disconnect this so that we can drain these other tanks more quickly, so we can get that picked up and start to put in our stacker. Okay, perfect. Speaking of the acid, let's go take a look and see how we're doing here. I did add more centrifuges. And then what I did is I wired these chests together with a green circuit wire. And then I connected those to these power poles back into the main power line that goes through our rail system. So that way I can basically click on any one, or I can hover over any one of these large power poles, and I can see how many of each that we have. Our goal is to get 40 of the uranium-235 so that we can start to run the Covarex enrichment process. I haven't researched it yet because it's going to take us a little while before we have 40, but you can see that we have 17 right now. So that's good. We're getting close. Yeah, and then these chests are starting to fill up with the 238. I might have to add more chests before we get there. But it looks like we have more than enough acid. We have lots of barrels of acid now accumulated here. And we're running as many miners as we can run right now. Okay, and that oil's almost emptied out. So while we're waiting for that, I would like to set up production of ammunition for the artillery. So let's take a look at that. So one artillery shell takes radar and explosives. Okay, the radar is just gears, circuits, and plates, just like practically everything else that we make in the game. Explosives we're already making over here, and those are in a provider chest, so we can bring those in with robots pretty easily. All right, and I think over here is where I'm going to want to deploy the artillery next. Explosive cannon shells take plastic, steel, and yet more explosives. Okay, so we have plastic, explosives, and steel. We do have plastic on the bus. I'm just trying to see what would be a good place to produce that stuff. I think we can do this mostly using robots. Why don't we make the radars over here in our make everything area? Because we already have most of the components that we need for that. Okay, so this we can set to make radar. I do need to extend the belt of gears. There we go. All right, and this is going to need gears, plates, and circuits. You You know what? Actually, I think I don't want to build this that close to the path. So let's go ahead and extend this to the other side. And these are red belts for the iron. Oops. There we go. All right. So that's 3, 6, 7, 8. Again, just leaving ourselves some extra space in case we need to bring in other materials at some point. Okay, and then we can bring one of these power poles over on this side. Let's see, where are we putting these? Like that. There we go. Okay, so we'll bring in gears, we'll bring in iron, and we'll bring in circuits, and we'll put those in a provider chest, and we'll limit that to 1 stack. All right, now the explosive cannon shells, we need steel and explosives. So we have steel over here. Oh, wait a minute, I want this to be explosives. All right, so we can bring in the steel from there, and then the plastic and explosives we can bring in with a requester chest. I'll just remove the steel, and basically I just shift left click and copied onto the requester chest, and that automatically puts the ingredients in there. Okay, now I don't think that I'm putting plastic into the network. I mean, I have some plastic in the network already just because I picked some up and got rid of it. But we're going to have to add it to the network actively so that we always have some when we need it. All right, so I'll set this to... we'll just set this to keep 100 plastic bars. At least 100 plastic bars in the network. Okay. Oh, and then we need, obviously, an inserter. All right, and then here we can make the artillery shells themselves. And whoops. We can just use, whoops, put that in the wrong place. There, if I open this up and I control click an empty spot in my inventory, it'll automatically load in whatever it needs from my inventory. Okay, and I'm not going to limit this chest because they only stack in ones anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and let this fill up. Okay, so now we've got automatic production of our artillery. We should probably put a turret down here. Speaking of which, I need to get red ammunition added to the network as well, because I have an active request for that and I'm not receiving any. So I'm guessing that that means that I didn't replace these chests with requesters. No, I didn't. So let's go ahead and do that. Turrets also. There we go. And I think those are in the network. Yes, they are. So let me add mining drills there. I can go ahead and give myself some grenades. And I think it would be nice to have a full stack of turrets with me at all times. Gun turrets. We'll need to start making laser turrets at some point. Okay. What else am I storing? Yeah, those are in provider chests. Okay, so everything else is all set. I think our oil station should be ready to dismantle now. Let's go take a look. And then we can fairly quickly set up our stacker before we end the episode. I know we're already kind of running long on time, but that only takes a few minutes to do. Okay, yeah, this is emptied, so we can dismantle that, but first we need to hook this one back up. Okay, now all this pipe we need because that's coming from our pump jacks, but we can disconnect from here. All right, and now we can dismantle all of this. Great. Okay. Now, stackers are fairly easy to make. Let me get rid of this. Basically what we want to do is we want to bring the trains in and have them wait until the station that they need is available. All right, so, and what we're going to do is on this right-hand line coming in, we're going to branch off and then we'll have them stack up over here and then exit out this side and come back over here to go up to the station. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that we have enough room here to accommodate a full train, so that because we don't want to have a train get stopped here waiting to get into the stacker and have the tail out here blocking the track. So I want to make sure that we have something that's at least 4 cars long out here. All right, so where this signal is right now, that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that is 4 cars long. You can see that the 4th car would be just ahead of those chain signals. All right, so we can branch off to our stacker immediately after this signal. Just like that. Okay. And this will form the outer edge of that. So we can hook this one up there, and then this can be removed. Okay, so that'll be the first lane of the stacker. And then up here, we need to form the top lane. So this is the first point that we want to be able to branch over from. There we go. All right, and that's the uppermost portion. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to break the rail connection over here. And this way, that forces all the trains to go through the stacker to get up to their stations. Okay, so on the exit of the stacker, we need to have a chain signal. And then we already have a regular signal on all the inputs. We do have to get rid of this one because all of the rail that feeds into all of the stations that the stacker feeds, that has to be all one block. And in the new version, you can see the blocks now. You don't have to use the debug menu. If you just hold a signal in your hand, you can see the blocks. So this whole light blue or teal or whatever, cyan, whatever color that is, that's all one block. And that's what we need for the stacker. And you can see that it's already working, right? See that that's the iron train. It wants to come up to this station. There's already a train there. And instead of blocking the path up here, it waits down there in the stacker. And then as soon as that station's clear, it can go. All right, and then once we start adding additional lanes to this, this is going to break our protected rail crossing here, but that's okay. We could fix that later. And then what we can do is we can add additional lanes to this, and the other trains will be able to go through as well without having any issue. So let's get rid of this pipe. Oh, we need to do one more thing, and that is to put a regular signal on the front end of it. Okay, and then we can just stack multiples of this. Yeah, I'll just leave 1, 2. We'll put it I'll leave 2 track widths in between each one. You could do it tighter than that, but 2 leaves plenty of room for signals. 1, 2. Sorry, 1, 2. Boom. And that's as far as we can go. Because this is the last curve section, so the last one we need to join up right here where I'm standing. 1, 2. Yeah, so that wouldn't quite fit. But this will hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll hold 5 trains. Now this train went up there because the output ends of these are not connected yet, so we need to fix that. Okay, now as soon as that iron train gets to the station, then this block will be clear, then this one can proceed. Now if these had all been connected, then the iron train would be here, and you would have seen this other train come through another lane. Okay, and then we can get rid of all of this, since that's not going to be used anymore. There. Okay, so now we have a stacker that can accommodate up to 5 trains waiting, which I think is more than what we'll ever need. I don't intend to have lots of trains coming to the main base, but you know, we'll probably have 2 trains for copper. So really only the iron and copper trains are going to be the ones that should have to wait for any significant period of time. But this will make sure that we don't have trains waiting over here on this side area. All right, so there's the iron train waiting there. Now let me just switch this to manual mode for a moment. And so you can see what happens when this oil train comes in. So this lane is occupied, so the oil train should come passing through the second one. Right, and as you can see, it doesn't have to wait because his station is clear. He has a path, and he can go through unimpeded. All right, and then that one will just continue to wait there until he has a clear path to the iron station, which will be any moment now. All right, as soon as that one gets out of the way, then this train will start to move through. Okay, so we're all set there. And then we can also clean up this track, since we're not going to need that either. There. All right, so now I'll just need to clean up the incoming trigger on this. And that should be fairly easy to do. Let's see here. Let me make a couple red wires. Okay. Yeah, so anytime these signals turn red, then it should block it, so we don't kill ourselves. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.